Well, hello again and welcome to Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds with a particular focus on the exhibition style budgerigar. First of all, thanks to all those of you who took the time to let me know what birds you keep in the comment section of the YouTube channel. It seems like most people, as I expected, majority of people out there are budgerigar keepers, but there are one or two of you who keep canaries, and I noticed somebody who keeps British birds, something I'd really love to have a go at if I had both the time and the money. So, and of course, most importantly, and the space to keep them. But yeah, something I don't know, might fancy a little look at keeping a few British at some stage. But yeah, as I say, most people are concentrate on the budgerigars, so we will continue to focus on the budgerigars. Someone did ask me, please don't give up the budgerigars. Definitely not going to do that. Always, as always, my first joy are the budgies, and the others are just there for entertainment and a little bit of variety. Right, so in this episode what I thought we'd do is, as I'm about to come up to one of the first, well, I say the first shows, we have had a stock show, but it's the first of the young bird shows, or cage bird young bird shows coming up. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about showing. Now I did do a full video on showing, or about showing birds, so that is on the channel somewhere, so if you want to go and take a look, see if you can find it, if you need more information about showing. But I thought I'd very briefly talk about how you enter birds into a show and the various types of shows. It will be a fairly quick look at that. What we will then do is have a quick look at the final breeding pair in here that's now split, and we'll then go out and look at the Fife from breeding to bench. Again, it's going to be a slightly shorter episode than I would normally like, but this is just, I've been really busy with the exams, so invigilating on the exams, so I have had very little time down here, and most of the time I get in the shed is spent making sure that I'm doing those tasks that we really need to do: cleaning, feeding, watering, and that sort of stuff. Right, as always though, if you enjoy the videos, don't forget to hit the like, and do of course comment on anything you see or anything you'd like to see in a future episode. And of course, if you're not yet a subscriber, then please do subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, what we'll do now is we'll have a quick look at showing. So as I say, we'll have a very quick chat about the showing of cage birds. Now, I know when you're first getting into the hobby, it can be quite a daunting process of showing birds. First of all, there's a lot of stuff in terms of how you enter the birds, and then there's the worry about, am I going to do it right? Is it going to, how do I feel about my birds going up against somebody else's? The first thing I'd say is, is that there is lots of help out there. And it's not as difficult as it seems, and most importantly, it's really fun. Getting out to meet other breeders at a show, have a look at all of the birds that are around there, and and talk about birds with other people who enjoy whichever type of bird it is that you keep. Now, there are a number of different types of show, and so first of all there is the specialist shows. So these are shows that specialise in a particular species of birds. So you might have specialist budgerigar show, which will only include budgerigars. You may have a specialist British show, which will only have British birds, and so on. So most of the various federations and clubs will have, and societies have their own specialist shows. So that's one type, and then the second type is the cage bird show. And a cage bird show, if you haven't shown before, is probably a good place to start. Find your local cage bird society, because I find that the cage bird shows are a little bit more relaxed than the larger shows. Just my own personal opinion, and also because they're not the larger shows, there's likely to be fewer of the birds that you're keeping actually at the show. So it's a good way to, you know, get into that big process and, you know, learning about the birds and that side of things. So or learn about showing and that side of things. So that's the Caged Bird Society. Those are the two different types of shows. Within those, you can have, again, broken down into two areas. So you can have an open show. So, and an open show just means that it means anybody can enter that show. So, you know, if it says the Swindon Budgerigar Society show, for example, that I go to is an open show, and you don't have to be a member of Swindon to show at that show. The Oxford 1910 shows are not our member shows. So, and a member show means that in order to enter, you must be a member of that club. So that's the difference. There's a member show and an open show. Easy enough to remember. You know, open to everybody or members only. That's the easiest way to remember it. So, in order to enter a show, in most cases you will need to, if you're not already a member of a club and on their mailing list, you'll need to request a schedule. So do this one in advance, and they will post it out to you. Some now do it online, but you know, still the vast majority of clubs will post a schedule out to you. And the schedule basically explains what you know, how to enter the birds. You will get an entry form in it, and then in the schedule it will have all the sections. So this is the Caged Bird Society show, so it has, you know, an area for the Norwich, for border fifes, borders, fifes, British, budgerigars, so all the various types of caged birds that can be kept. And then in each of those sections there are, or those varieties, there are two sections normally, or sometimes three for the budgerigars, but two sections normally, which is novice and champion. For the budgerigars there's novice, champion and intermediate, or novice, intermediate and champion. And then there are the various classes, and it's really relatively easy to work out. So let's say you're entering a budgerigar, and you've got, you know, a couple of light greens and a, I don't know, a lutino and a pied. So for example, a green pied. So you would find the section in the schedule that covers the budgerigars. So the page in the schedule that covers the budgerigars. Once you've done that, find the section that you're going to show in. If you're unsure, then the chances are you're a novice, so you'll be showing in the novice section. And then again, it tends to be two areas. So you'll tend to have, for the budgerigars, it will be an any age, and then a breeder, which is a young bird. So this current year bred bird, any age, can be any age. Current year bred bird for the budgerigars. And for the budgerigars, again, a little bit different. That current year bred bird must be bred by you, so it must have your closed ring on it. If it's a specialist show, specialist budgerigar society show, then it must have a closed ring of the Budgerigar Society on it for you to win an award in the young bird section. So you would then find, let's say I've got a light green that is a young bird, a lutino that's a young bird, and a green pied that's a young bird. I then go down the list and find the various area where it is. Now, for larger shows, there'll be more sections than there are for the smaller shows. So for the Oxford 1910, there are a limited number of classes that you can enter. So, for example, the light green, novice, current year bred, for this one would go into BS 51. So that's a novice, any normal green. So that would include dark green and light green. So that would cover the greens. It doesn't include grey greens in this case. Now for the lutinos, you just go down and you find the where it says any, in this case again it will say any lutino or albino, and again you're entering it in the young bird class, so and a novice section, so it would be BS 66, and then for the pied We go down again, it says any variety pied, and again novice, that would be BS 68. Now if you looked at the schedule, the 1910 schedule, they include cocks and hens in the same class. For larger shows, the chances are there will be a section for cocks and a section for hens. So really that is all you need to think about, is in terms of entering. Fill them in on the form. The form can be fairly self-explanatory. Do the check for your entry and post it off to them, and you'll then get your cage labels back with the numbers on it. If you don't have any problems, there's normally a number in the schedule that you can ring. Just give the show secretary a ring, and in most cases they'll be able to help you out and talk you through where it needs to be entered. The only thing I'd say is that bear in mind that the show secretary and the lead up to the show can be quite busy. I know, I'm a show secretary, so that week before the show it can be a really busy week trying to make sure the cage labels are out, working out how many birds you've got in the show, where they need to go on the bench, that side of things. So if it doesn't get back to you straight away, do bear with them in terms of offering you that advice. Again, one of the reasons why I say it's quite good to enter a cage bird society as your first show, and again this may vary a little bit, but in most cases, if you're a novice and you've entered a bird in the wrong class, then in most cases they'll be able to change that on the day. They'll talk you through what you've done wrong and just give you a new cage label and reclass it. So that's, again, for the big shows, it's unlikely they will do that, but certainly for the smaller shows, they will. Like I say, if you need more information on shows and showing, I did do a full video on it, so go out and find that. Right then, what else is going on in here in the budgerigar room? So in the budgerigar room, the main thing, I suppose the main focus has been on splitting the final pair up, and that's now done. The hen in the cage behind, I don't know if you can see, the nest box has been turned around now. I've removed all the eggs. I did check them, each egg, before I chucked it, just to make doubly sure that there wasn't anything in it, but they were all clear. So all of the eggs have been removed. The nest box has been turned around. The hen has been out of the nest box for about 2 days already, so she wasn't going back in there, so I've turned the nest box around. I'll give it another couple of days, the nest box will come off, and that hen will then go back into the main flight for a little bit of a rest, and hopefully we might pop her back in come September time. The other thing I've done in here is actually I had somebody from my local club who was had lost a few birds over the winter, spring, and so I managed to gift him a couple of youngsters. So there was a couple of youngsters that I wasn't going to use, I've removed those on. So like I remember, I think a couple of episodes ago, I said I was thinking about which birds I could move on, and so I'm starting to do that, and if I can help somebody who's just joined the hobby out a little bit with a couple of free birds, I will do. In terms of the other youngsters, I'm just keeping an eye on how they're developing. We put a couple of young light green and a young sky blue into the nappy cage. I think we looked at them an episode ago or 2 episodes ago. The young light green keeps catching my eye. It's not going to be a brilliant bird, but I do like it. Yeah, when it sat there, it looks okay to me at the moment. So touch wood, it'll keep developing and look, and be promising. The pied also looks, again, sits well, stands well, and looks good. And of course we've got the grey hen, opaline hen, so that one is well developed now. So there we are. So that's really it in here. There's still a few birds that I need to have a look at, but we'll do that after I'm back off holiday. We will run the birds through the show cages, and I'll make a final decision then which of the budgerigars I'm going to keep and which of the budgerigars I'm going to get rid of, whether that's gift them to somebody starting out or whether we sell a few on to as pet birds or to other breeders. Right, so that's the budgerigars looked at. Let's go out now into the finch and fife flight and look at fife and breeding to bench. So here we are in fifes from breeding to bench. So out here, everything at the moment seems to be going really tickety-boo. So there's no major issues apart from one that I'll talk about in just a second. In the breeding cages behind me, all of the chicks have hatched. So we've got 5 youngsters in there, 3 in the bottom cage and 2 in the top cage. And they're all being fed and all growing on quite nicely. So, you know, it looks as if we're going to get a few more young fives for the coming season, and hopefully we'll have a few nice birds that will help to take me along a little bit further in the five classes. So, like I say, all been going reasonably well in here. The only problem I did have was that the 4 chicks that we moved last time I put into a double cage, so the same size cage as the breeding pairs are in, and all was going okay in there as well. And then I noticed a couple of days when I was coming in and putting the soft food in and refreshing the finger drawer of conditioning seed, that a couple of the birds were fighting, and one in particular was getting harassed a little bit away from the various soft food dishes. So what I've done is I've now split the cage into 2, so it's 2 smaller cages. I've got in effect the birds that were from the original pair on the left hand side, and I've got the birds off the new pair on the other side, and that seems to have solved the problem. There's no more fighting, and it certainly means that all the birds are getting their fair share of the soft food. I was a little bit worried that, you know, if one wasn't getting the soft food, it may start to drop behind a little bit. I know in this weaning process it can be a bit difficult for the fives. So, but like I say, all seems to be going okay now. I'm starting to try and put baths on the cage now. I think 1 or 2 of them are starting to try them out, but there's no major sign of them going in there just yet. But hopefully that will help in terms of that initial molt phase. So I can continue to feed the young fives with the soft food they got in the breeding cage, and a finger drawer, like I say, a finger drawer of tonic seed, or not tonic seed, conditioning seed, and then there's water and obviously normal canary seed. They all seem to be eating all of it, so I'm hopeful that this pair will be, or these pairs, or sorry, these birds, I was being put off there by that canary singing, that cock canary singing. Hopefully these youngsters will all make, survive through the molt and will be great. We've got a couple to go out on the show bench. Right, as I say, the ones behind me, again, also all going well. So what more can I say? I'm sure at some stage we're going to get a bit of heartbreak in here. But hopefully not this breeding season. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode. Like I say, I'm sorry they're been a bit shorter than normal episodes over the last couple of weeks. I'm virtually finished with the invigilating, at least for a couple of weeks anyway. So hopefully the next 2 week episodes will be back to their normal sort of 20 minutes or so. In the next episode we will get some of the birds out and start preparing them for that Oxford 1910 show, and look at getting them ready in the breeding in the show cage and that side of things. So we will have a look at some of the youngsters again, and we may also, if I get a chance, have a look at a couple of the fives in the five show cage. So that will be for the next episode. As I say, I've been invigilating. I'm not sure if there's any young people out there who are in the middle of either their GCSEs or their A levels, if you are, good luck. I hope they're going really well. I expect most of the viewers who watch this particular video are as ancient or as mature as I am. So and taking exams was way in the past. Right, like I say, that's just about brings us to the end of this video. Don't forget to hit the like button, do subscribe, hit the bell if you want any notifications. But as always, do stay safe and enjoy your birds.